JB was here says saying Reasonable Doubt is number one in '96 is like Eminem claiming Infinite to get in the Hall of Fame. All right, well, that's segue to our last part of this show. I wanted to respond to some of the people who had all kind. Look, the Eminem gang really was killing me on Twitter a couple of weeks ago. I think it was last week when Eminem got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think Eminem's people know that I exist or we exist or knows what I'm saying out here because it was a bunch of Slim Shady pages that were tagging us on Twitter and going in on me like Mike D doesn't know anything he's talking about. But I want to go through some of the comments from, I guess, my explanation of why I thought that Eminem just didn't deserve to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame yet. And I was going to respond to some of the things that were said, if that's fine. What do you think about this, Coop?
I don't think.
Okay. Someone said, "Oh my God, every artist Eminem were before him. Are y'all choosing to be ignorant? Or y'all serious?" I don't know what that means. Okay, if Snoop made Death Row, then Eminem made Aftermath. Or do y'all not care about those facts? Huh? Think that's an interesting perspective.
Just go ahead.
Do you think that Eminem is responsible for Aftermath?
Financially, in a lot of ways, yes.
I think that it's a combination, but maybe we could say the same thing with Death Row, right? I think 2001 is what Aftermath Jump Off was, but from an impact standpoint,
Label has a cash cow, Mike. Eminem has been Aftermath and Interscope's cash cow.
yeah, and he brought him 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying? So
So
I'll say this.
big cow.
I'll say this. I think that Aftermath's catalog doesn't match Death Row's catalog or legacy, in my opinion.
No.
So if we ask most people out here, what's the greater label, Death Row or Aftermath? I'm pretty sure Death Row's gonna win that.
So this is what I mean about how there are levels to this. It's like, well, Get Rich or Die Trying is like the second or first best album in some people's opinion for that whole decade. It ain't fucking with All Eyes on Me, man.
Right.
Like Get Rich or Die Trying for as great as it's not better than All Eyes on Me, right?
Or Doggy Style of the Chronic.
See how All Eyes on Me can't even sneak into like damn near a top 3 album conversation for the year it got released, according to some people sometimes. You feel what I mean? So the game is just different. So when you talk about Death Row versus Aftermath, well, there it goes right there. It's like Get Rich or Die Trying, the best thing that came out of Aftermath in modern era. It's not fucking with All Eyes on Me.
Yeah, so if Snoop built Death Row and now he owns Death Row, congratulations to Snoop on that. If he built Death Row and Eminem built Aftermath, I'm gonna give Snoop more points because A, Death Row's better than Aftermath, and B, Death Row came 10 years before Aftermath.
Like, think about it. California is bigger than In the Club.
It is.
It's one of the few records that can say that. It really, really is. 21 questions or I ain't mad at you. You feel me?
What are we doing here?
What are we doing?
And you don't want to put Doggy Style up against the Slim Shady LP or the Marshall Mathers LP.
Anything.
You don't.
Anything. So I said All Eyes on Me. You don't want to put Doggy Style up against anything. You stay right there with All Eyes. You can't fuck with All Eyes on Me. You don't get the Doggy Style.
Another comment was Dolly Parton accepted her nomination. What are y'all talking about? Well, when I said that Dolly Parton declined, I'm just saying that there was an opportunity for anybody to decline, the acceptance. That's it. Because again, we always lean on the fact that, M has no bearing or he can't help the fact that he's getting this adulation or he's being elevated. This is not his fault. That's fine, but you can decline. I didn't know you could decline until Dolly did it, regardless if she actually eventually accepted, but you can actually do that. And so if all of these people he knows, paved the way for him and certain people that I mentioned deserve to be in there before him, why not decline? That's all I'm saying.
No, I get what you're saying.
I mean, another one was, so Jay-Z also went in first ballot ahead of all the legends. Where's the video critiquing that section?
We actually do have a
He said,
video
I
with us,
like
Chris.
y'all channel, but some of y'all M hate is way off base. Go ahead.
No, go into our videos.
Mm-hmm.
You will see where we actually criticized the Academy and said it was very unfair how they are putting LL Cool J in with Jay-Z and how LL Cool J should have been in before Jay-Z. So we're pretty fair.
And if we're talking about Tribe and Wu-Tang and all of that stuff, I think that's a fair assessment to say that, yeah, we didn't give Jay that same energy, but I'm just going to keep it 100%. Jay-Z and Eminem are not on the same level as far as what they mean to hip-hop, their impact on hip-hop, their catalog, album for album. It's just not the same. And maybe I should have said something about Tribe and Wu not getting in and Snoop not getting in before Jay, but I think the fact that Jay-Z's impact and his material and his output is just so blaring in the culture, I didn't really, think. But I mean, I didn't really think to critique that. But we did critique the LL and Jay thing because that was blaring. LL came out in '85 and Jay came out in '96, and they shouldn't have been getting in at the same time. But to say all that to say, Eminem and Jay aren't on the same level, and I'm sorry, they're just not. I mean, there's no way I could dress that up. I think that some people are misinformed to the point where they do have Eminem and Jay-Z on the same level. And I think maybe just one performance on Renegade makes certain people feel like Eminem's better than Jay-Z. You know what? It's not the only song where somebody's had a better performance than Jay-Z. Beanie Siegel did it all the time. That doesn't make Beanie Siegel better than Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is this even a thing? I mean, shout out to Nas. I think he started it with the whole Eminem murdered you on your own shit, because before that, we weren't hearing any of that. Anything to piggyback on that?
No, I mean, it's just, okay. It's hard to qualify these lists. This is what I mean. And we might, I keep thinking about that metric and that scale that we were trying to create earlier this year. And we need to get back to that scale. And we need a metric and a scale so we can just place it in the rubric and get the answer spit out through the process and through the data. And I know it seems kind of like technical, but this is why, because we're just going to end up doing this over and over again all day. People's feelings aren't facts, including ours. And so it's like we're not saying it like it's the gospel. We're trying to create a fair and unbiased metric that kind of is weighing in the impact, the groundbreakingness of the album, the lyrical connectivity, the production. It's like, no, we're trying to find out a way of putting all these things in measure. But that's the problem, Mike, is like when you put them in measure and you go to different eras and different years and different quality of albums, it's hard to stay consistent. Like I'm in a chat right now where somebody's telling me that we're tripping for putting Biggie's 2 albums in It's Dark and Hell Is Hot over the Infamous. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a personal feeling. Like for me, I like the Infamous more than I like It's Dark and Hell Is Hot in those in Biggie's first 2 albums. Is it more impactful? Because the music is comparable.
I honestly feel like, and you know how I feel about Akumina, I think that the Infamous would have a better debate up against Akumina on a list like this than it would the X album. Because the impact, you know what I mean? And as much as I love Akumina, it doesn't have the impact of those 2 albums.
I mean, to be honest with you, Mike, even when you said Akumina, as much as I love Akumina, it sounds out of place when you put it next to these albums because, and this is what I mean, well, the Infamous got Shook Ones and Give Up the Goods and Survival of the Fittest and Eye for an Eye. It's like those aren't just street classics, Mike. That's the shit they classics. They're still playing these records in New York. If they're not
everywhere, not even just New York.
Right. And then you go to something like It's Dark and Hell Is Hot. Stop Being Greedy. How's It Going Down? Rough Riders anthem. Don't get started with Big, Mike.
Get at me, dog.
Let's not even get started with Big, Mike.
Yeah, and then when you get to Akumina, we're talking about Rosa Parks, Skewered on the Barbie, and Art of Storytelling. And you know what? I think the saving grace for Kumina, and it wasn't even a single. They didn't even put it out with a video. It's Spodio de Delicious. That's the song that lasted the longest.
That might have been where they are slipping. And actually, that's what I mean. It's like they may not have done themselves a lot. They did themselves some injustices with some things because it's like, why are you releasing Art of Storytelling and Rosa Parks over Spodio de Delicious? Like, why exactly?
Seek Big says, y'all act like this too has a lot of bad songs. Go track by track. There's 3 skips tops. Not say holla at me and rather be a nigga and run the streets either. All right, maybe we should do a All Eyes on Me on the Patreon too. Oh, here's another comment. I don't like M's music. He's obviously talented and technical. However, I know enough about the hip hop genre and knowledge to know that M loves drawing attention to hip hop greats. He does it more effective in more ways than some black MCs. He wears T-shirts with the Underground Cats on there, references rappers and rhymes. I think he does it so that he knows that he has so many fans who listen to just him, and he's trying to educate. Mike, that was disappointing for you to come to that conclusion. That might have been a low blow. You know, I don't want to knock somebody's love and influence because everybody he named seemed to be very happy that he named them and acknowledged them during his speech. So maybe a lot of that was just tongue in cheek and me just flexing and being funny. So I'll take that critique. I think that's fine. Maybe the alphabetical order thing was too much.
No, this discourse that we're having, it's good and it's all healthy. We need to get our rubric out though and put it into something. Mm-hmm. Because here's the reality of the matter. For me, I don't separate the infamous from the Purple Tape and Liquid Swords or Life After Death. That's all in reasonable doubt. Moment of Truth. It's dark and hell is hot. No, that's all in the same group to me. You get what I'm saying? That's all in the same grouping. It's like, so asking me what album is better, I don't think it's fair to any of those albums without us creating some sort of normative baseline to speak of. It's like, well, and I mean, how about this? If you love the infamous, understand the mic performance is going to suffer compared to Biggie and DMX because, well, Havoc doesn't rhyme as big in DMX, so Prodigy does.
Right.
You feel? So the infamous is going to lose some points lyrically because you have to keep in mind, well, Prodigy isn't rapping by himself on the infamous. In all respect to Havoc, he's a solid rapper. Now go listen to the rapping that Big is doing on Ready to Die and Life After Death and DMX is Dark and Hell is Hot. And tell me that Prodigy is holding that up by himself on the infamous when he has Havoc right there too, who's more of a producer. No. So the infamous lyrically isn't as strong as Ready to Die, Life After Death, or as Dark and Hell is Hot. Just off the strength of that. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that there's not another measure where it's stronger. I think the production on the infamous is better than the production on Ready to Die. You feel what I'm saying? I think
that could be a preference thing, right? But I agree with you. But I think the production on Ready to Die is very strong.
It's not better than the infamous, but
it's just different. You know what I'm saying? It's a different
Q-tip guy, Mike. You're the Q-tip guy.
Yeah, no, I know. Mo Better says, when I have conversations about Outkast, people bring up ATLiens more than Akumanai.
You want to know why? Elevators.
I think it's the overall tone of ATLiens. I think, like I said, ATLiens is their boom bap album, but Akumanai is the better album. And I think that Akumanai sold more too. Not to say that that's the ending metric, but I'm just saying it's not because ATLiens is talked about more because of impact, because I think that would still go to Akumanai. But Akumanai is the better record. But again, it's kind of like that Thriller Off the Wall conversation where it's like people love the vibe of Off the Wall as people love the vibe of ATLiens. But you can listen to those two albums and you could tell that Akumanai is an elevation from ATLiens. You could tell that Thriller's an elevation from Off the Wall. They could do things they couldn't do on the previous album.
No, you're right.
CJ Kidd says, you guys still going to do the College Dropout versus Moment of Truth for the Patreon that you guys spoke on months ago. Forgot about that.
I think we got Ready to Die, it's starting to it's not infamous on. But what we had first is DJ Premier versus Dilla this Monday.
Are we
right?
doing that first, or are we gonna do the? Are we gonna go ahead and do the Ready to Die and It's Dark and Hell is Hot?
We'll do what the people
We
say.
can put that on the people. Eric Terrell says, "Y'all
Wait.
like the overrated Beatles? Why not Eminem?"
I'm not touching that.
I think that the Beatles. I wouldn't say the Beatles are overrated per se. I just think that the Beatles, they created the format of making albums. I mean, I think they came in at a time where they were a collective of songwriting, musicians, and performers during an era where there were individual songwriters, there were individual producers, there were individual artists, and there were individual musicians. They were all in one band. So I think that their impact on that level has to be recognized whether you like their music or not. I don't think Eminem's a pioneer of anything in hip hop. So I think that's a little different.
Mike, are you listening to the that are coming out of your mouth? You're saying, well, people weren't making albums before they came along, and this guy's calling them overrated. Like, that's the end of the conversation right there. It's like, well, people weren't making albums before they started making albums consecutively. So,
no, albums were just a bunch of singles and covers. They were coming with original efforts, and it just is what it is. Michael Huntley.
You gotta respect the game.
Yeah, you gotta respect the game. That should be it. Michael Huntley says, "Where would you rate the Nocturnal album from Helter Skelter?" I love Helter Skelter.
See, that's what I mean. I don't even know if Nocturnal's a top 10 album in '96. Is it? That's '96.
That's '96. Yeah, it's a heavy year. I don't know if it is because I'm thinking Iron Man and that.
I forgot about Iron Man in '96. Crazy. All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli. No, I don't even know if Nocturnal's top 10 in '96.
Yeah. Miss LB with the super chat says, Mike D, I think your statement about M's Hall of Fame speech was spot on because I felt the same way before you said it. Hey, I appreciate that. But, I just want to, and see, this is the thing. I don't mind responding and defending my statements if I'm standing on factual information and not feelings. Not standing on feelings. I'm standing on the fact that tell me how he should get in there before Snoop. Let's start with Snoop. And I know people kept changing the narrative and I'm talking about pioneers and this and that. No, I'm talking about Snoop specifically. Because you got the Dr. Dre connection, and like someone said, even when they were coming at me, you got the Death Row and Aftermath connection. Snoop started Death Row. M started Aftermath, right? Death Row comes before Aftermath, doesn't it?
And that was the thing, too. And this is what I mean when you're saying Aftermath is really, really funny in the sense. It's like, well, he started off with Nas and the Fireman, and then that didn't go the way that he wanted. And then he popped back up with Eminem, and Eminem helped take things to a certain level. But, Mike, it didn't take off until The Chronic 2001, and it didn't reach its culmination until Get Rich or Die Trying. And so...
Well, what I would also say to that, too, Snoop actually helped in those efforts. Let's not sit here and act like Snoop's not...
Right.
Yeah, Bitch, please.
So if you're asking me who built Aftermath back up, it's like when you know what I think about Aftermath, I think da 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 da.
Yeah.
Dr. Dre.
So let's not act like Snoop's not a part of Aftermath actually coming.
I mean, because he's the star of 2001, Mike, and 2001 is the Aftermath moment.
Because I feel like Bitch Please set the table for it, right?
Right.
At least what we were going to get on 2001. And then even when 2001 came out, still DRE, Snoop had to be a part of that record. Can you hear that record without Snoop? Can you hear that record working without Snoop? Oh. And then not to mention the next episode, which, to be perfectly real here, was supposed to be the first single. No, and Jimmy Iovine was like, no, y'all got another one in the canon that you can make. And it became Still DRE. But guess what? Snoop had to be on that first single regardless of what the first single was.
He's on the next episode.
Exactly. So he was on both choices for the first single. That's not accident.
Right. So when you talk about who built Aftermath, it's like, well,
yeah, you can't just give that one to him. Snoop had something to do with that too. Now I know one thing.
The building of Aftermath is a group effort, but Snoop was that group effort.
But I'll tell you one thing: Eminem didn't help build Death Row, did he?
No, Snoop definitely built Death Row.
Yeah. Amir Thoughts with the super chat says, appreciate the work you guys continue to put in. Keep going. I appreciate my mere thoughts, man. He always be coming with the heavy super chats. That one was a 20 piece. You ready to get out of here, Coop? I think we kind of covered everything. We kind of got some preliminary lists. I think our 90s list is probably the strongest as far as like set in stone.
I don't like the way these lists are going.
The 80s is next.
I don't like the way these lists are going.
We'll do the 80s on like Wednesday's show. I think the 80s might be a little easier.
We just need to be able to put it on a scale for when somebody's saying it's like, okay, so we have the infamous Ready to Die and It's Dark and Hell is Hot next to each other. Like, what's getting a 98? What's getting a 95? What's getting a 94? Like, we need to have a way to, you know.
Well, I think we can kind of do that with some of the with the 90s one, right? I think we could give it a rating on a scale from 1 to 100, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We might really have to do like a breakdown. Like to parse through the 90s albums is going to require a real critical breakdown. Like not just like a normal breakdown. Like because here's the reality of the matter, Mike. As much as we, like, how about this? The way that I'm talking about Ready to Die, oh, well, there's niggas that's going to argue to me to the end of the time about the infamous. And niggas going to argue about his dark, like, we need something to like really actually like kind of like scale it off. Like forever you feel about how DMX is rapping on It's Dark and Hell is Hot. Oh well, he's not fucking Biggie on Life After Death though. You know what I mean? So we need to parse out how far behind he is in that. It's like if Big's rapping on Life After Death, if that's a 99, then what is DMX's rapping on It's Dark and Hell is Hot? Because I'll tell you that's like a 92, 93.
How about we rate it based on beats, rhymes, and life and give all of them a scale?
That's fine.
And add it up.
I'm cool.
Eric Terrell with the super chat says Quincy Jones said the Beatles didn't play on their own albums. They couldn't. Why would he lie, Coop? Yeah.
Why would Quincy Jones lie? Same reason the rest of us lie.
Quincy Jones tells the truth. He's an older man. He has no reason to lie. I think I'll put it this way. In Quincy's world, he probably seen way better musicians.
Oh, hold on. He'll tell you, are there better musicians? Yes. Are there better musicians and songwriters and stage performers and album makers? Like all the things, Mike. All the things.
Yeah.
Right. I know, Mike, I done seen niggas hoop with my own eyes. It's like, man, that nigga going pro as long as he don't. Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors there. All right. Well, everybody have a great weekend, great show, man. I think we cracked the code on a few things. I never thought that the 2000s would be the most difficult one because that one just hurt my head trying to put together.
No, that's what I'm saying. We're going to have to come up with some sort of metric or scale. We struggled to do 20 to 2010.
Yeah. Okay? All right, man. I'm going to holler at you.
All right.
Yeah.